Hello students, today we're going to learn how to restate the question. Now there are 4 steps to restating the question, and let's go over those 4 steps now. The first step is to figure out what the question is asking. Once you have figured out what the question is asking, you want to remove the question word. Sometimes there will be more than one. If there are more than one question words, remove all of the question words. Next, we're going to add to the sentence. This is where we're going to make sure that the sentence sounds like a complete thought and not just a bunch of words. Last but not least, we need to change the punctuation. When we have a question, we know that it ends in a question mark. But if we're making this into a statement, then we either need to use a period or an exclamation point. And this is how we will complete our process of restating the question. Now let's look at some examples. First, we have the question, what cake flavor had the most votes? Now, according to my chart, the first thing I need to do is figure out what the question is asking. I think this question is asking me to pick a cake flavor that has more votes than any other cake flavor. So I know that my answer to this question is going to be about the cake flavor. This is really important in this question, the cake flavor. Next, I need to remove the question word. So I'm going to look at this sentence and figure out which word is a question word. It says, what cake flavor had the most votes? I think the question word is what. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out the question word. Now I'm left with cake flavor had the most votes. And I need to add to the sentence so that it makes sense and it has a complete thought. Now, based on what I learned, the question is asking me, it's asking me to tell the cake flavor that has the most votes. So if there's only one cake flavor that can have the most votes, I'm going to use the word one to restate the question. So I'm going to say one cake flavor had the most votes. Now, using the word one won't always work, and that's why it's very important that we know what the question is asking. Depending on what the question is asking, that's going to tell you what you should add to the sentence. Now, all that's left for me to do is change the punctuation. In my question, there's a question mark. But now that I'm making this sentence into a statement, I'm going to add a period. My new sentence becomes, one cake flavor had the most votes. This is how you restate the question, what cake flavor had the most votes? Let's look at our next example. How many votes did that cake flavor have? My first step is to figure out what the question is asking. I'm looking here at the question and it says, how many votes did that cake flavor have? I think this question is asking me to tell the number of votes. Now that I know what the question is asking, I can go ahead and remove the question word. In this sentence, the question word is 2 words actually. It's how many. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those question words. Now the next step is to add to the sentence. But before I do that, I want to read the sentence and figure out what makes sense for me to add. So it says, votes did that cake flavor have? I know that I'm looking for a number, and if it had the most votes, it probably had a lot of votes, a lot more than the other ones for sure. So I think I'm going to add that to the sentence, the words a lot. I need to figure out how to do it. So one way I'm going to try is just to add it to the beginning of the sentence. So I'm going to write a lot of votes did that, cake flavor have? Now let me read this to make sure it makes sense. A lot of votes did that cake flavor have? Whoa, that doesn't sound quite right. So I need to make some changes and really figure out how to make this sentence sound right. First thing that I'm noticing is that there are more than one verbs in this sentence. There's two. The first one is did, and the second one is have. Now, I think that is messing up my sentence because I don't need two verbs to restate this question. So if I take out one of these verbs, I think my sentence will sound a lot better. The verb that I'm going to remove is the verb did. Now let's try to rewrite the sentence and see if it sounds better. A lot of votes that cake flavor have still doesn't sound quite right. I think what I need to do is change some of the words in the sentence around, rearrange the words in the sentence, and I think that's going to fix my problem. Remember that all sentences have a noun, verb, and details. So I'm going to quickly find out what's the noun that I'm really talking about, what's my verb, and what are the details. The noun in this sentence is cake flavor. This is my noun. The verb in this sentence is have. And the details for this sentence are a lot of votes, because what does my cake flavor have? It has a lot of votes. Now I'm going to rewrite this sentence using the noun verb detail model. Let's see what it looks like. Cake flavor has a lot of votes. Now this sentence sounds a lot better. It sounds a lot better, but I didn't use the word that. And I think by using the word that, I could make this sentence even better. So I'm going to give that a go. That cake flavor has a lot of votes. Now, there's a few things that you will notice that I've done just by completing this process of adding to the sentence. One of the things that I did was I changed the word have to has. We have learned about the differences between have and has and when we should use them with different pronouns. And cake flavor would be considered an it. And so we use has instead of have. But here at the bottom, I added in the word that. That cake flavor has a lot of votes. That sounds like a complete sentence. I could also say, the cake flavor has a lot of votes. I could say, one cake flavor has a lot of votes. So, my point is that there are many ways to change the sentence. Last but not least, we need to change the punctuation. I already did it just out of habit. When you change a question to a sentence, make sure you use a period or an exclamation point. Students, first I want to just say thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I know it's been kind of long, but this process is something that takes time, and this is a process that's going to need you to use all of the things that you've learned. You're going to have to figure out what's the noun, verb, and detail. You're going to have to know how to change the verb based on what the noun in the sentence is and what the pronoun might be. You're also going to have to remember that capital letters go at the beginning and punctuation goes at the end. You're going to be using all the skills that you've learned to help you to restate questions into amazing sentences. Good luck.